If you thought everything was rainbows and butterflies, let me take you down to the dark side.
We're gonna take a deep dive into the business side, the ugly side of music.
This time, Bollywood edition.
There's been no secret that there's quite a dark side to Bollywood in terms of music, in terms of how stars are treated, and the whole structures behind such industries. Bollywood isn't the only one to blame. This happens in many industries. Today we'll focus on this. The first big glaring issue or big glaring point of discussion in the Bollywood industry is obviously nepotism.
Correct.
Weirdly enough, this is something that has prevailed over the years and will probably never stop. The difficult part about nepotism is that if I was in that position and so were you, you would take as much risk as possible, work as hard as you possibly can, build your family name, and then when your offspring are out and about and they want to do a future, you'd obviously provide them with more opportunities that you would to someone who's outside of the family group.
However, though, nepotism poses one of the hardest challenges for everybody outside of the industry to provide an in. So look at it, for example, of Shah Rukh Khan, right? He muscled his way up, but how many more of those examples have we been robbed of because of nepotism?
We've had singers like Jubin, who we all saw how he began from talent shows, auditions, getting rejected by Sonu Nigam, into, carving his own path. The problem with nepotism is that, as Waleska said, it prevents you from talent, but it makes it an industry that relies overly through its main source of talent acquisition, which is family names, rather
than... It is
than
monopolized then. Like, it takes away the ability to breathe in new, fresh talent.
There are plenty of examples of this, like the Malik Brothers. They're all related to Anu Malik. Anu Malik, I think that's how you say his name. Of course, in the acting world, it's way more obvious, and you can think of probably just, 3 surnames, and then everyone has the same bloody surname. They're all related in somehow. I have heard the opposing argument to this, which is rather interesting. Actually, it was from not just Amal has spoken about this. He has mentioned that even though his father was a composer, even though Anu Malik, his uncle, was obviously very involved in music, he found it very difficult in the industry and nothing was given to him. And you can't take any of the credit away from the two brothers. That's part of the argument. Then there is the lyricist, Manoj Muntashir. He was in a News India Express article. He was quoted and he said something rather interesting. His argument is that given testimonies and given sort of, articles like these or videos like these ones where you sort of point the finger at nepotism and paints the wrong picture for upcoming talent. It makes them want to quit. There are obvious examples of people that have beaten the forces of nepotism and people who are not related to the industry and now are at the top of the game. So his perspective on it is there is no tyranny, there is no nepotism, there's no, dynasticism. Because if not, the only popular singers right now would be Kumar Sanu's sons, Udit Narayan's daughters or sons, Alka Yagnik's relatives, and that's not just the case. There is quite a variety in the industry. However, you let me know what you think of that argument.
Exactly. I think in perspective, because of the globalization of the internet, though, the playing field has been a little bit more level. So now people have the power to choose exactly who they want to listen to, exactly who they want to support. And it's important to set that as a statement too. Because I think in this new age of globalization, you have more power than you think you do.
The market sets the damn demand. And now we live in a content-driven era.
So... Scroll, like, and subscribe. Alright, the next point is obviously the exploitation of artists and the unfair payment and contracts.
This is mainly related to music, which is our world. This is the part that, with the reactions, reviews, podcasting interviews, it is the ugly side, and it's the side we see very, very often. We saw it since we were children in South America, and it's bizarre sometimes how similar the South American music industry and the South Asian music industry are. Number one is obviously the fucking contracts, mate. I think it was Mona Lisa Kur who mentioned in one of her contracts, or one of her articles where she was speaking openly about this. Sonu Nigam's also been quite open about this. Armaan Malik has been very open about this
and
also.
Also, Arijit has spoken about this issue.
The number one thing is the deals that they get offer over there in India are very, very, to say the least, shark-like, predatory, difficult, not advantageous towards the artist. The labels usually take about 80% of everything.
And they get a 20% of their own composed songs.
Royalties is a much more complicated deal. This is present also in the West, royalty-based deals, and also most labels, especially the bigger the labels are, and especially, ironically enough, the bigger the artist is, probably the more complicated and not advantageous contract they have, because the labels do take most of the risk. As a matter of fact, they take all the financial risk. The argument for the artist is, of course, without the artist, without their art, without their focus, without their time, there is no industry, there is no music. They both should be equal. The argument towards the labels is, of course, we take all financial risk, we promote you, we put shows for you, we give you contacts. Also, music business is very weird, where it's like it's all locked off and it's who you know, and these contacts are accessed through a paid wall. Yes. And these paid walls are only broken through if you're with music.
Obviously, in terms of like the deals and all of this stuff that happens behind the scenes, the common knowledge of these things aren't accessible for everybody else out there.
Very misunderstood.
And there is a lot of misunderstanding of what exactly the artist does and what they get retributed with, which I think is really tough to cover up. But a lot of the favorite songs that you listen from a title track for a film, there are one-time paid kind of contract where they get paid to be in the studio, where they get paid to be used as the vocalist, but they don't get any single penny from the revenue that you got whilst you were streaming the song, or as many times that it gets replayed.
Streaming is also very interesting in India. The way streaming works, it's each country and each big, the big labels, the big boys, think of them as all in a big table. They all get given a pool of money redistributed by these big companies, and obviously Spotify, Apple Music, whatever the fuck. And then this is redistributed geographically. Streaming in India is very bizarre, and I'm probably not the best person, and I think that there are better places where you can understand the complexities of streaming and how revenue shares actually work. But due to its complexity and how it's sort of locked off by the big puppeteer masters, it leads to two things. What Waleska said, a lot of singers in India are still working on the schemes where it's like, I pay you to sing this song, and I own all the rights. If this does 1 billion views, if this does 1 billion streams, you see 0% of this. But now your name is attached to this hit, and hopefully you sell tickets.
So the popular belief is that as singers, we get paid to sing a song. And that's not true. I don't think any singer has gotten paid to sing a song. Be it Arijit Singh, be it me, be it whoever. It's understood that if the song goes in your voice and the song becomes famous, you learn from the shows.
That's why touring is so important for artists in India at the moment. It also was the case like that in South America for a very, very long time. Be surprised if it's still the case. I haven't followed that industry closely. Arijit, with his song Enna Sonna Q,
available at FutureFridayShop.com.
Which merchandise is available, ladies and gentlemen. I love that's my favorite song, it's my favorite phrase. He saw probably 0 pennies from all the streams that I have fucking streamed that song. And same as you. He either got a one-time fee, or as you learn right now by watching this video of Armaan talking about how he's worked and how his experience has been, $0. What you do, mate, this is the typical work for exposure. Payment by exposure bollocks, which is like you have a hit and then more people buy your tickets, and it's like, what the but what about the 12 hours I spent here singing? In this moment, there's no other argument for this, there is no counter argument for this, it's just plain fucking wrong.
It is, and I think Mona Lisa Kur actually said it the best. It was like, labels are like gangsters.
It's like a mob. And it's funny because We know plenty of labels, plenty of label heads, plenty of people who work at labels, and it's more of a structural problem rather than they're evil
systematic
human
problem,
beings.
yeah.
Life isn't usually like that. It's very rare where you come across pure evil, and we could go agree on who those motherfuckers are. A lot of the time, it isn't the music label heads. It's just it's too complicated
And there are too many nuances. It's a very nuanced situation, and the system is rotten from the beginning.
From the core.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of hard to detox it. Like it's gonna take generations.
So support your artists by going to their concerts.
Correct. Buying their merch.
Never complain that it might be too expensive. Never say that it's like, maybe I have to travel a bit. Maybe no, do it. Support them. If you're streaming their songs, find a way. It's the way that you're actually supporting them financially. All the moral support in the comments is wonderful, but Arijit,
if you have the opportunity,
eat.
correct. If you
If
have the
you go to his
opportunity to
concerts.
buy a ticket, please do, because you're supporting more than just the song,
They
more
sh-
than just the artist.
based on their streams, like Arijit, Shrag, Oshao, Aka Yaknik, they should be some of the richest human beings alive.
And yes, they're wealthy. Now let's not kid anybody. Yes,
fine,
they're
fine.
wealthy.
They're in the millions of dollars, sure.
Sure, they're
Because they
wealthy.
tour the world and they never stop. You ever wonder why they work so hard and they never fucking stop making music?
Why Arijit and Shreya work like 200 songs a year?
Yep, that's why.
That's why.
Keeps them relevant, makes them sell tickets.
Now let's talk about the lack of originality within the Bollywood industry.
This type of comments has plagued the industry for a very long time. Especially now, since other industries, thanks to the internet, thanks to the globalization of things,
Thanks to you.
correct, thanks to you,
For pointing these things out.
are becoming even bigger. So like the South Indian music and movie industries are becoming way bigger. And also we noticed it when we were working on a special video, seeing like inspirations of songs, how they've been copied and how they were remade. It's a lot easier now to tell because we have internet. And there's AI that can recognize songs for you. Everyone has access to the credits. Everyone has access to information. So it's very easy now to tell hold on, that movie came from the South, but I only saw it on Bollywood, so I'm now interested in the original. It's plagued Bollywood for a very long time. As a matter of fact, we were discussing this between you guys in the live stream. Why is it called Bollywood, and why people and artists and singers and actors don't like the name Bollywood? It's because it's a copy-paste job of Hollywood. That's like the premise of it, right? When in reality, people just want to make movies, they want to compete, they want to create good stuff.
And the stories that originally have been made in the Indian film industry are absolutely wonderful,
Great.
worth the time, and absolutely worth the hype that they have gotten behind them.
Andhadhun,
Phenomenal.
Pink,
Yes.
Queen, more of the alternative scene, but also like I guess I can say it now. We just saw Bajrangi Baijan or Baijan, which is Salman Khan.
Yeah, Bajrangi Baijan.
Baijan, they're great.
Self-produced and self-written, and what a great
They're
story.
great stories. But for some reason, remaking has always been a huge part of Bollywood. And of course, that leads to issues with, what the fuck is original?
Where's the chicken and where's the egg?
Correct. And then also it's like, is it perhaps because they know that's what's gonna bring the big bucks without it being too high risk? However, the box office numbers have been saying otherwise.
Correct. So here's the thing. A lot of film companies have taken the risk of remaking songs that were originally in Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, and made them into Hindi versions of the films. And sometimes they're an absolute blockbuster, and some of the times is an they absolutely flop. So it's a very tough kind of industry to predict, and it poses the question: why carry on with the remake?
In all fairness, it hasn't always just been a one-way street.
Correct.
Southern movies and southern cinema industries have also copied stuff from
The
Bollywood
Hindi, yeah.
or the Hindi movies. It's a very complex sort of argument. However, it's becoming more and more obvious, especially musically, that everything is a fucking remake.
And it's a dance track for some reason.
Correct. The last one is quite sensitive. So if you are sensitive to this type of topics, perhaps time to switch off the video, mate. It's the mental health aspect of things. This happens with a ton of music industries, a ton of movie industries. It's a very bizarre world. And as we said, imagine, for example, you're an artist and you're working and you're not being compensated, and then there's the stress, but people think you're doing super well. Then you think you start developing some sort of fucking imposter syndrome. Then you get to set super sad. Then you go to the shows. Then you're sleep deprived. Then maybe you pick up the alcohol. Then maybe you never sleep. You keep traveling. People think you're doing great, but you're actually rock bottom, and you're a superstar. And it's just always people around you want something from you, and people are always expecting things from you, and the pressure of the world is in your shoulders, or at least that's what it feels like. Of course, it can lead to mental health fucking battles.
And obviously, because culturally this is a really big deal, a very big taboo in a lot of different parts of the world.
Similar to how we grew up in South America.
In South America, the mental health talks are not usually encouraged, and depending on the generation, the less likely and less open they are to listen to any of this kind of sort of issues.
Yeah, they had this sort of mentalities, you know, especially back home. I can't speak obviously for a whole fucking country of India, but I can speak for sort of our experience in South America, and I guess us being in the industry. I guess there's more of a mentality of like get tough or get fucked.
Yeah, that's actually it.
Genuinely, and
bite or get bitten kind of thing.
Yeah, and dog eats dog. It's an industry of kill or be killed.
Correct.
And I don't presume it's any different in the Bollywood industry. I'm very much a, you know, get tough individual. Life will punch you in the mouth, but it is immensely ignorant and foolish to not pay attention to your mental health and not utilize the tools that may be available to you, the resources that may be available to you. And if you do have a platform, what a fantastic way to encourage people that may be struggling through this, and may feel super alienated and alone, to know that even the heroes in your movies are sometimes down, sometimes are dealing with long battles. Deepika Padukone, a very well-known case of this, where she has spoken and has an actual foundation with the name Live, Love, Laugh.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, love, love.
Yes.
And
obviously, her struggle with depression and how she has openly talked about this has put a spotlight into some of the darker issues that are related to a lot of career pressures. And I think these are pressures that aren't specific to this type of work.
No,
that
I think everyone can relate.
Correct.
Especially culturally.
Yeah, I totally agree that there's a pressure to be a professional, the studies, and if you're a student, you know what type of stress you can be putting yourself under.
Is it pressure to be a man's man, or is it pressure to be the lady's lady?
Yeah, so there is a lot of cultural and societal pressures there that can sometimes beat somebody down. And if you add on top of that, you know, whatever life might be throwing at you, whatever curveball you may be facing, these are things that could potentially derail into something really serious.
Shraddha Kapoor, another example of someone who, because of success actually, perhaps she wasn't ready for such, again, I don't think anyone is, especially at that level, Pose Ashiki 2, and she had another movie which did very well, called, was it Stree? I think it was Stree. I mean, he says here, like, speaking to the media, she said she had anxiety issues for the preceding 3 to 4 years. She was coping with it, and now she has sort of learned to cope with it positively. And she was 32-year-old when she sort of spoke about this.
Which it just goes to show that these are tackles issues that are ageless and limitless. Like, a lot of people can be going through a lot of difficulties, and if you don't have the cultural encouragement to talk through these issues,
it's tough.
It could lead into something
it's
a lot
tough,
more
it's tough.
difficult.
And as
to
always,
deal with.
there's always balance. And I think the overall objective with life is to seek and achieve balance. It's not to always be overly focused on your issues or overly focused on what's great, but to be somewhat in the middle. And finding that balance can be very tough. Of course, different cultures, different beliefs, different creeds, different family backgrounds, and different circumstances will make it more difficult or easier. But it's always nice to see actors and actresses and singers discuss this, at least publicly, so that other people then don't feel as alienated or as alone. That's pretty much it. I didn't want to be a down video, you know what I mean? But it is something that cannot be ignored, and we've been discussing whether making this video for quite a while, actually. What's the point of at least having people listen to you if I'm not sure if many people would have known that your favorite artists are actually making £0 or $0 or 0 rupees from their songs that you love.
Yeah.
So that's us as musicians and stuff. Please do go support them to their shows. It means a lot, and it means a lot to them, and it means a lot to worldwide music. If you're a supporter and a fan of Feature Friday and you want music to be promoted globally, go see your artist live. I hope we have shown that also by example, but also introduce you to someone new that you can support.
That's right. And again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, share your thoughts and feelings about these issues, and what else you like us to talk about next.
Goodbye.